So good evening, good evening, good evening. We're back again with another Real Talk podcast. None of this, bigger fish to fry, making excuses about phases and all of that. We fully bottled it. It's as simple as that. And Jez, we've had 5 days since we got taken apart at the Etihad. How you been feeling, mate?
Well, I've pretty much got over it now, Lee. I was fuming probably for a good 3 days. I think that reflected in your fan cam and the player ratings and the match review that I did. And I got the same impression from people that came on and did a match review with me, that they were just so totally peed off about it. I mean, I'm sorry, we threw away cup competitions to win this Premier League and we didn't do it. So, but I still see people out there, well, it's not over yet. Well, I'm sorry, I think it pretty much is. We've got Chelsea tomorrow night. I think we'll beat Chelsea. And Newcastle away, the form they're in at the moment, Lee. If we get a draw there, that's great, but ain't enough. And Man City has still got a game in hand. And as we always know, with Pep Guardiola, he is the sort of manager, he's world class, that gets his team up for the end of the season to get him over the line. And that proves why he's so good. So, and we just don't have that management. I'm sorry, people will hate me for it, but we don't have that management basis, and that's why we ain't going to win it.
I agree, mate. I agree. Kenny, obviously you're going to be at the game tomorrow. Well, I'm assuming you're going to the game. How you 100% since that game up at the Etihad, mate? Because it was literally men against toddlers, wasn't it? It's kind of embarrassing. Mate.
Oh, empty. I think I saw this coming. I think the warning signs have been there for a long time, especially when we're winning games. And I'm never going to tire of pointing that out. I'm not going to say I told you so, because the facts are there. There's other people who've substantiated what I've said already. But we've learnt a lot about some of our players. I said like I said, the player ratings and our fan cam, that it's all well and good to raise your fists, pump your chest out, and talk a good game. But walking the walk is much, much harder. And I'm afraid their players haven't walked the walk. At Liverpool, they didn't walk the walk. Southampton clearly didn't walk the walk. West Ham way didn't walk the walk. Oh, they're brilliant when we were 2-0 up in those 2 games. But when it came to the pressure, they showed what they had made of. And Arsene Wenger used to always say, and I'm no Wenger fan, that you could tell a person's personality on the football field, and we saw their personalities in living colour. When the tough gets going, they're nowhere to be seen. And I'm sick and tired of like I said, going through this all the time about our players' weak hearts. I thought we actually eradicated that from our vocabulary, but alas, it is still there. I mean, Arsenal-Chelsea, I used to, how much I used to love Arsenal-Chelsea matches. I used to feel probably near the same sort of anticipations I used to feel in the North London Derby. That's how big the games. But now I feel flat, just like I felt 15 years ago when we should have won the league in 2008. When you're not going to win the league, you feel flat. That's how I feel flat. Everything, you want to enjoy your football, but flat. Because, I just want to sort of refute a lot of the rubbish I've been hearing from a lot of people, but people who've actually got the balls to actually say as it is. And I'd be surprised by the sort of people who've actually agreed with what we said, or maybe they don't agree with us in person. I shake their hands, but the people who are out there, and you know who you are, mate, and you know what channel you go into, how dare you go and insult fans' intelligence by saying, you know what, it's still part of the process, it's still ongoing. How dare you? The process was always going to be ended when we challenged for the title. Well, we challenged for the title. The process is over. Yes, we've got a young team, but you look at the amount of appearances some of these young players have made. If you look at the players had the most appearances, is Xhaka. After that, in an Arsenal shirt, Saka's probably after that. How's Saka 21? So he's got experience. Got experience in an Arsenal shirt. He's been playing in the first team for the last 4 years. So don't give me this rubbish, young team, and they're only just starting. Don't give me that rubbish. Some have been here for 3 or 4 years in the first team. Others have been in the first team for 3 years. If this is their first season, I'll give you that. Just like the Man United babes of '96, but this ain't their first season. Stop coming out with this rubbish about if you like looked at the season, from its aftermath, you would have settled for fourth place and a trophy. So what? I didn't settle for that. I've always wanted to win the league. So have you two. So stop coming this rubbish, this garbage, just to make
There's an
yourself
awful lot
feel
of
better.
people waffling, mate. There's a lot of people that were marching to get Wenger out of the football club for doing exactly what they're now saying we would have been happy with. Yeah, funny. You fast forward all these years later, and now suddenly they don't care about finishing not top.
One guy, one of my mates, I won't name him because he probably want to be mentioned. He went on a show, and he called out Odegaard in a way that you've done. But he's done it probably in a nicer way. And he said everything about Odegaard, about how when in Norway's qualifying group, he had no goals, no assists. And it was a very easy group to get out of.
He did break a record, for most passes against Gibraltar.
Yeah, no goals, no assists. And then he started talking about his actual contributions in the big games. And he doubted the quality because he refuted the rubbish that Odegaard is on a par with De Bruyne. Now, I've got no criticism of Odegaard, but that is someone else saying what I've been saying or what you've been saying about, the mentality of these players. And then people are throwing stones at him and saying, "Oh, you're talking rubbish." What do you mean he's talking rubbish? Go and watch who got substituted against Liverpool, against West Ham, against Man City, against Southampton.
Man
Who was
United,
substituted?
Tottenham. He's been subbed in every big game pretty much we've had.
Yeah. Why is he subbed? Because he can't affect the game and he's ineffective. But no one wants to talk about that. No one wants to talk about it.
Well, just to go back to what you said about Bukayo Saka, he's played 130 times in the Premier League.
That's experience.
Total appearances for Arsenal, 174. Yeah.
Well,
and he's played 26 times for England. So he's made 200 appearances. That's not just some little kid like Charlie Patino who's made one and now he's starting a season. Who, by the way, is leaving the football club. I found that hilarious today when I see Charlie Patino wants to leave. Yeah, this lot gassed him up like he was the second coming of Aaron Ramsey. Like, do you know what I mean? It's mad. One appearance. But that's how easily pleased football fans are, people. Right? We've seen it with Tottenham. They were losing 2-0 to Man United. They rally back and get back to a 2-2. Yeah, and all of a sudden it's give Ryan Mason the job. Then they go 3-0 down in the next game, get back to 3-3, and then bottle that and end up 4-3. And now it's, we've got to give him the job. That is how easily pleased and how quick people will change their opinion or have a thought process on a player or a manager. Yeah, how can a guy who hasn't even got any coaching badges, right, be put in charge of Tottenham? He's only there because he had a serious injury and had to finish football. Let's just be real with it. Yeah, by rights, the guy should still be playing football if that injury hadn't have happened. It was tragic what happened to him, but he's only there because they don't want to be seen as a bad football club by getting rid of him. Yeah, that's it. And now he's in charge of the football club, and it's like, oh, well, he's rallied back against United. He's rallied back against Liverpool. Oh, yeah, give him the job. This is the same with every football club. The only difference is, like our fans have been doing this for years and years and years and years. Yeah, and they never learn. Like, honestly, they never learn. Martin Odegaard, I've been calling him Gibraltar Guard for how long? There's a reason for that. Because he don't turn up in the big games. The amount of people, listen, he's had a good season. But ultimately, when it matters, he's disappeared. Yeah, and it's not just him. Like, Thomas Partey's been the same. Yeah, he's had a great season as well. Like, both of them have had great seasons in terms of their performances for the majority of the season. But ultimately, when it matters, both of them disappeared. Yeah, same last season. Thomas Partey, to be fair, was injured. Yeah, Nel Nenny came in. But Odegaard disappeared last season when it mattered. Saka disappeared last season when it mattered. Martinelli disappeared when it mattered. It's the same again this season. So when people want to sit there and talk about, oh no, the culture's changed, the mentality's changed, right? We bottled top 4 last season. Yeah. With the same players other than Gabriel Jesus, Zinchenko, and Saliba. They're the only 3 that have really come into our starting 11. Yeah. Saliba didn't play the last 4 games. Zinchenko's played 3 of the 4. And Jesus has played all 4. Or made an appearance in all 4. So, listen, have we changed the culture? I don't think so. Yeah, there's too many players that when the chips are down, Granit Xhaka's been doing it and proving it for 7 years. Fantastic for about 70% of this season. Yeah, been brilliant. Yeah, but ultimately he can't sustain it over a whole season. And when people want to talk about next season, yeah, great. Yeah, but they'll come back better. They'll be a year older. Like, well, no disrespect. We're going to be in the Champions League next season. Yeah, there ain't no way Mikel Arteta can rest any of these players for Champions League football. Yeah, otherwise it will be cricket scores. Yeah, it will be, because we can go and do that against Lisbon and we still got knocked out. Now go and do that against PSG, Madrid, Bayern Munich, AC Milan, Barcelona, like top teams that are going to go out and do top money in the summer. Man City are going to be in the Champions League again. I know we're not going to get them in the group stage, but we're going to come up against some big teams. And when you look back at his Europa League record, it stinks. Lost to Olympiacos, lost to our former manager with Villarreal. Yeah, and then get knocked out on penalties to Sporting Lisbon. We actually lost to PSV in the group stage. Like, you know, what makes anyone think that this manager's not going to drop off next season? Because all I see is that he's kind of gone to his peak. And I don't just blame him for the drop off. The players are a joke. Yeah, they are a disgrace. Yeah, they've been brilliant up until a point, but then as soon as everyone's talking about your favourites to win the league, they've crumbled, mate. And why? Because it's been nicey. Oh, top 4 in the Europa League, top four. Why, Jez, why do you think this club is so obsessed? I want to ask you this, yeah, because it's been jarring me since that game the other night. Why is this club with a different ownership model, yeah, different directors and board level, different coaching staff, different players and different manager, still completely obsessed with top 4?
It's the mentality, Lee, because I think, unfortunately, it's become bred into new fans. And I'm not disrespecting people, but it's the fact that it's been year in, year out, the latter part of the Wenger years. It was top four, get into Europe, get in the Champions League. Now, we are crap in Europe. Let's get it right. I mean, yeah, oh, come on. We've probably got the worst record as a top English football club in Europe. Aston Villa have done better than us. You know, I mean,
same as Forest.
Yeah, not Forest back in their time, back in the 70s, 80s, they were a fantastic team. But they had a fantastic management, you know, and it's become ingrained in people's brains that top four. Well, I'm sorry, I don't accept top 4. I never have and never will, because we have to change this mentality. And I'm sorry, I'll put it out there. And I know poor old Oregon Gooner has been getting some horrendous abuse this last few days on his social media. That he's not an Arsenal fan, this blah, blah, blah. Well, if you are a real Arsenal fan and you know what success is, you don't accept top 4. You accept winning. We've been top since day one of this football season. And when it comes to actually getting it over the line, we capitulated, because weak mentality. Couldn't take the stress, couldn't take the pressure. And I won't accept any of this bullshit. Oh, it's a young team. These are professional footballers. They've been playing football probably since the age of 6 or 7. Okay, people say, well, that's only because they're kids. Yeah, but they've been in that academy or other clubs' academies probably since the age of 12, 13. So they've played a lot of bloody football and pressure football to get it through, to make it to a professional level. Only 1% of young kids make it into professional football. 1%.
Yep.
So you've got to be the best of the best of the best. You know? So I'm not accepting this bullshit. Oh, well, they're young. The problem is weak management weak behind the scenes management and weak management in getting these guys mentally right and playing the right bloody tactics, Lee. And that's what we haven't got in this manager. I called it.
100%.
I called this against Aston Villa. I said we're papering over the cracks, and that crack became the bloody Grand Canyon. And at the end of the day, we've all fallen into it. And not for me. Sorry, I'm just about done with this management at this club. Seriously, because it will be rinse and repeat next season. We'll have Mikel Arteta. We'll have Edu doing absolutely jack shit. And we'll have Garlic Head and Vinay just coasting along for the crest of the wave. We'll get into the Champions League. We'll go in pot 2, pot 3, seeded, and we'll be up against God knows who. And everybody be bigging it up. Oh, this is going to be brilliant. You know, we're in the Champions League. Big money. You don't earn big money in the group stage. It comes later in the competition. And the first thing you have to do is invest before you get in that Champions League. Will we invest?
Yeah.
How much do you honestly think we need? I would honestly say, sitting here at this point in time, to get any chance of winning that Champions League, we need to spend at least 250, 300 million. And we can't. We can't. Oh, why can't we? Because they won't. Fact.
Mate, just on your point about being top of the league all season, let me just get that comment off 1 second. There we go. Nights at the top of the table. 247 nights. Arsenal have been top of the table. Manchester City, 14. Yeah, and people want to sit there and dress it up that it's not a bottle job because nobody expected Arsenal to win the league. No disrespect, right? If Usain Bolt's running a foot race, right, and he's doing the 100 meters and he's leading for 90 meters and then doesn't win, he's bottled it. It's as simple as that. It's the same thing. It's the same logic. Yeah, and for me, it's just so jarring because you got all these puppets out there, like I said about this phases. Charles Watts, yeah, the guy's a disgrace. Yeah, and I know he don't like me. Good. I hope you don't like me, mate, because I'm going to mention this phase BS all summer and I'm going to attach your name to it. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Yeah, this guy's out here peddling out to 500,000 followers. Yeah, that we're in phase 3. Well, okay, can somebody explain to me when that started and when phase 4 kicks in? Yeah, what phase is Eddie Howe on? Yeah, what phase is that guy on at Newcastle? Because he spent less than half the money and in half the time he's qualified them for Champions League. Because there ain't no way they're falling out of that now. Yeah, with what, 5-6 games to go, they need a couple of points. They're in. Will they get that on Sunday against us? Yeah. So what phase is Steve Bruce in? Steve Bruce was in minus phases. Yeah, he was dusted. But what phase is Eddie Howe in? Right? How comes the process talk isn't being spoken at Newcastle? How comes they don't need an ex-player wheeling out merchandise? How comes they ain't got any puppet journalists peddling out PR crap? Why haven't they need a billion excuses? In 18 months, that geezer has took Newcastle from 19th to 3rd. Yeah, and they've still got a bloody good chance of finishing 2nd, to be fair. Yeah, because if we fold, and like I think we will, they were shot after Newcastle. They were dusted after, not Newcastle, Southampton, sorry. They were on their knees after that game. Kenny, you was there. They were all on their knees. They were holding their eyes. They were fuming. They knew they bottled the title. Yeah. Why do you think there's such a culture like this, Kenny? Because if you've got different sets of players, managers, hierarchy and all this, how is that culture still seeped into the football club? It makes no sense to me.
Well, it's simple reason. It's embedded. You know, people don't realise how massive an achievement it was all those 19 years ago to have players of that ilk. Remember, we had Tony Adams during the George Graham era, alongside players like Kenny Sampson. We had people like Steve Williams, obviously you remember them, and, players like Viv Anderson, first phase. And then when they phased out, we had Bold, Dixon, Winterburn under George Graham. Those players carried that mentality over when George Graham got sacked into the Wenger area. And then players like Vieira and Petit learnt from those leaders. And then Pires came to the club, Henri became the club leader, Lehmann came to the club. And what's happened after we won the league in 2004, Arsene Wenger decided to go Barcelona. So he got rid of the leaders, tried to play tiki-taka, but what he's never been able to sort of like implement was a leadership, like I said, thing within the club. Basically, what it is, it's calmness. We don't like shouting. We like players who can express themselves, but we don't want players to be upset by shouters or people's, giving a dressing room. You remember when Arsene Wenger never used to like it when Pat Rice or Steve Bold, gave players rollickings. He likes a calm atmosphere, and that is kind of gone through the football club since the last 19 years. That's why we haven't had leaders. The fact is that people mistakenly called JEZ'S and Zinchenko leaders, but the fact is,
one of them was crying at Anfield.
You look at the stats; they weren't first team players for Guardiola. That's not their fault, but people think that Arsenal got the best part of the bargain, and they've had good seasons, but Man City have upgraded them because they weren't good enough for Man City. So now they've been good enough for us, and that's the problem. We haven't got leaders at football club, and that's become within. And until we start getting leaders and players who can walk the walk, we're going to have a situation that when we do get in the championship rounds, when it comes to the league, we're always going to struggle. We're always going to struggle, And I think the challenge is for next season is that you're not just buying players who, with great football ability. You have to look at players and look at their characters and look at see if they're leaders, if they want to win, if they'll do anything for win. If they shake a few people up in the dressing room, if they can go up to, Saka and say, mate, you've been a great season, but you haven't won anything yet. I need more from you. That's what I'm not sure we're getting at this dressing room, because if we were getting that in that dressing room, we wouldn't have the sort of capitulations we had at London Stadium, Anfield, and this sort of like lack of the wide awake club against Southampton. I mean, if we had leaders in that dressing room, someone would have gone up to those players after the games we won and said, mate, fantastic, well done. But hang on, you did this, and this wrong, and this is what's going to cost us. The manager should have done that, let's face it. I mean, this is a guy who's meant to be so meticulous that he seems to have a clear playing style and everyone knows their job, and you can actually see what he's trying to do. Well, hang on here. He's dropped the ball, because the first thing about managers should do is that they should be critical of mistakes that they know could affect us in the future. Do you remember the 1983 Scottish Cup final when Aberdeen beat Rangers
against
1-0
Rangers? Yeah.
And Sir Alex Ferguson had a go at his players, even though they won the game.
They'd won the cup.
Yeah. And what about when Man City beat Watford 6-0, when Sterling scored a couple of goals and Guardiola was still telling him what he did wrong? That's what you need. You need our players need to be kept on their toes. But what's happened? We've listened to certain people in the media going, "Oh, it's Arsenal's title," blah blah. We've listened to the fans, with the North London Forever garbage they sing before the match, cringe by the way, and all these like Arteta songs, and they're beginning to believe their press, not realising that it's the little things that you neglect can cost you the title. I mean, come on, clean sheets. Who's the defensive leader in there? Why is it someone, pissed off about the fact that we conceded 2 goals against Bournemouth, or pissed off about the fact we conceded 2 goals against, Aston Villa? Instead of throwing your shirts around. Don't get me wrong, I got quite an emotion, but these are little things that leaders in the dressing room. Adams wouldn't have that. Bold wouldn't have that. I know for a fact Lehman wouldn't have that. Vieira wouldn't have that. So that is what we're missing. Grant Xhaka likes to be seen as a leader and shaking his fist. Hang on here. You should have been gripsing people up after the games against Anfield. Sorry, games at Liverpool and at West Ham. You should be and Thomas Partey.
Mate,
you find leads in Spain. Where's your leadership, mate?
Our captain's getting subbed off. When did Patrick Vieira ever get subbed off?
Never. But even so, Odegaard, are you a captain that leads by example, or are you a captain that actually says a few home truths? Because right now, if everyone's talking about young team, that's fair enough. But surely there's got to be a leader amongst them. And that's why we're not going to win anything big. Don't get me wrong, we'll win the FA Cup. if we have the right draw and we avoid a few people and, you know, raise their game in the final against a big team. But the FA Cup's a brilliant competition. I love it. I love winning cup competitions. But the real test of your character is the league. And let's get this rubbish out of our systems. We have bottled it. So don't take offence. I don't know. And if you keep on doing it, I'm going to name you and shame you on this channel. Stop taking offence when people say, have Arsenal bottled it? Of course you bloody bottled it. You were 8 points in front 4 weeks ago. That is called bottling it, which means Man City needed snookers from us in order for them to win the league. And they got them. So that's bottling it. Simple.
Fact.
Yeah, absolute facts. Listen, all of this, we didn't expect to be in this position. No pundits gave us this at the start of the season. Who cares what Gary Neville said at the start of the season? Who cares what Gary Lineker says at the start of the season? Who cares what anybody else says at the start of the season? Yeah, it's irrelevant when you're 8 points clear with 10 games to go. I'm sorry, it is. In fact, less than 10 games, than 9 games to go. It's irrelevant. Yeah, you're in a position to go. You can literally reach out and nearly touch the title, and then you go and lose a 2-goal lead at Anfield. Then you go and lose a 2-goal lead at the London Stadium. Then you go 2-0 down and 3-1 down at home to Southampton. Then you don't even bother turning up at the Etihad. Sorry, mate, that's a bottle job. Yeah, that's a bottle job. I don't care what anyone says.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, go on, mate.
Why do these fans take so much notice of Gary Neville, all these pundits? Why? What does it matter? Have they not got a brain themselves?
No, they ain't. They ain't. That's why I said.
Are they not able to watch a football match and actually make an interpretation of how a team plays themselves? Why are they led by these so-called football experts because they've played football at a professional level? I'm sorry, but I'm going to say this. I've never played football at a professional level. I was crap at football. But the fact is, I actually can watch a game of football and have my own analysis. I may not be technically gifted in the fact of breaking down the technicalities of the game, and I would never say I am, but I can actually make an analysis because I have an effing brain and I can see when a team is going wrong. It's no bloody different, guys, and I'm getting the ump here now, is because when you're driving your car and one day it's going sweet as a nut and the next day you think, oh, that don't sound right. Surely to dear God, you can see when something is going wrong in a bloody football match. I called this at Aston Villa. I said it on your stream, Lee. There's something going wrong, something's breaking, and we're papering over the cracks. And I was proven right. And I got absolutely slated for that.
Yeah, because Jez, people don't want to accept reality. Yeah, like when you've got people sitting there saying nobody expected it, well, why you all trusted the process for 4 years then? Was the process just to get in the top 4 again? Because if that was genuinely the process, after 4 years, well, for 3 seasons and a half season, if that's the process, we should have just kept Wenger.
Yeah.
He done it 20 out of 22 years. Yeah, and people, and this is what winds me up the most, I actively see people that were standing outside with banners, and holding up the time for change, little back posters and all that, on marches, on protests, actively trying to get Wenger out because top 4 and the odd cup weren't deemed good enough. And now they're doing up the biggest amount of PR on the internet, for this manager. Why? But it comes back to earlier. Ryan Mason, after 1 half against Liverpool, their fans were saying, give him the job. That is how easily manipulated and thick football fans are. Not all of them. Yeah, I'm not saying all of them. I'm not tying them all with that brush. But when people are posting out the PR, Zinchenko came in the dressing room on day 1 and said, we can go for a title. The same Zinchenko 8 months later sitting on the bench at Anfield in the 90th minute crying because he's cost us it. Yeah, JEZ'S. Oh, we need JEZ'S back. Oh, he's been brilliant. Yeah, comes back, does next to fuck all, and then does an interview and says, well, it's a young squad. Would he have got away with that with Pep?
No.
No way. He would never play for Pep again. Yeah, no way would he ever play for Pep again. We're going to sign Jorginho.
George Graham. Can you imagine George in saying that to George Graham? He'd have been kicked round the bloody head and kicked up the arse and kicked out the club.
Hey, look at when Dixon signed for Arsenal.
There'll be a queue. There'll be a queue in front of George Graham getting to the geezer. And the thing about it is,
look at when George. Go on, mate. Go on.
If you talk about those guys with their banners and their protestations for the Wenger, let me tell you the reason why they've changed. There's one reason why they've changed. Go on Sky Sports, and when they speak to fans, you'll see why some of these guys have changed. Or if you want to go on Radio 5, you can hear them. Or that's why they've changed, because simple reason that is beneficial to their ambitions as YouTubers or semi-journalists to actually change their tune and get them in a club, because it's proved to be profitable. If you do get them in a club and don't rock the boat, you'll be allowed in. You maybe be allowed in whenever the club do a new mural. Some podcasters were there. Some of those podcasters were in the marches with me and some of the organisers around outside the old Arsenal stadium. But now they're all viewing the murals. So that's one of the reasons why some of them have changed their tune, because
in the press conference. Oh, we just happened to bump into Edu again for the fifth time in 6 weeks.
Lee, it's garbage. It's garbage. I've been watching in the pre-Man City game. I was watching a lot of these podcasts, and some of them were appearing on TV, and some of the things that they were saying were just extraordinary. They weren't saying as it is. They were being jingoistic, which I respect, because at the end of the day, what's the point? These guys, if they're going to have like a Punch and Judy or Big Daddy's Giant Haystack sort of rubbish, which they've been trying to get us into quite a few times last season, you want to go on Sky. They want Big Daddy Giant Haystacks. They want an Arsenal fan to say it's blue when it's red. They want an Arsenal fan to say it's brilliant when it's rubbish.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, what's the point of having two fans who disagree?
You imagine when they're doing this agree, disagree, or strongly disagree, strongly agree when they're doing the pints. What shows that? Like 888 or someone, whoever it is that does it, and they sit there and they have their drinks, and you've got a Liverpool fan and Arsenal fan, or a Man United fan and Arsenal fan. Dennis Bergkamp wasn't better than Berbatov, or some stupid wild question they'll put out there. Yeah, right. They want two fans to argue. Now imagine if me and Rance, for example, just throwing it out there, me and Rance were sitting opposite each other on a table with a drink. Yeah, he'd go, well, Bergkamp was better than Berbatov. Yeah, the show's fucked. Yeah, that's why they get these people on there, because they don't want people to say it as it is. They just want the clicks and the drama. Yeah, the fact is, this football club for 19 fucking years, and I'm getting angry now, 19 years, has taken our pants round our ankles and spanked our bottoms. Yeah, with PR, lies, deceit, and never-ending processes. Youth projects. Absolute disgrace. Charles Watts, I'm going to call him out again on second time on this show, and the third time today, by the way. Yeah, because I called him out earlier. He's a scumbag. Yeah, that geezer doing up the most PR for Charlie Patino after one game. One game, he comes on, he scores. Yeah, fantastic achievement for the lad on his debut. Then he plays another game, was absolutely dreadful. And all that guy has done, if you go back and type in how many articles and have a look how many articles he's written and how many tweets he's posted about, oh, yes, he's the future of Arsenal. No, he ain't. Shut the fuck up, you wanker. Yeah, you absolute scumbag. I know exactly what time it is with that guy, and exactly what time it is with all of them that get in them fucking interviews. Yeah, they are only there because the club have wanted them there to push out the prop. I know how it works. You can't say this today. What would you like to get out of this, Arsenal? What would you like the narrative to be today? Why do you think when I do press conference reactions, there's always a segment on Eddie Nketiah's upturning form, and then it's 4 questions about Eddie Nketiah in a row? Who gives a shit? We're playing Everton. I don't care about Eddie. I care about Everton. What are we doing to beat them, Mikel? Yeah, but this is what they do. Then the next week, it'll be how Granit Xhaka turned the fans around. Nobody cares. Yeah, but unfortunately, this is the way we're moving with modern football. Yeah, every single club's doing this now. well, not every single club, but most clubs in the Premier League are now doing this narrative and PR and PR and PR. And ironically, the two clubs that do it the best, are two of the biggest clubs in England that have been fucking ruined for the last 2 decades. Arsenal and Man United. Yeah, why? Because they're taking our pants down. Yeah, and it is a disgrace. People are sitting and say, oh, you're always moaning. I will stop moaning when this club do what they smashed Highbury down for. They stood there and barefaced fucking lied to me, you, and every other Arsenal fan. Yeah, they lied to the world. We are moving to compete with Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Yeah, well, Real Madrid are going to sack Ancelotti unless he wins the 15th Champions League and the Copa del Rey final against Osasuna. If he don't win both, he's gone. But we're going to sit here and go, well, let's give Mikel another go. Let's give him another 100-odd million. Oh, we're in the Champions League.
Lee, we'll be in the mud. If Ancelotti gets sacked, we're in the mud. I mean, let's get it right. Ancelotti, finished 9th with Everton. We all thought, look, some of these people who are against our opinions on the manager thought, you look at those Ancelotti lovers. They're in the mud. They're in the mud. He only finished 9th. He's gonna get sacked by Real Madrid. Well, look at Everton now. They're second from bottom. Last season, they just scraped through. We now know that what Ancelotti did was as good as him winning the league at Everton. Because look at the how we say, the downturn in fortunes of that football club since he left. That was a miracle. That was a miracle getting them 9th with the same players, by the way.
Yeah, apart from James Rodriguez and Allen, it's the same team.
Yeah. It's virtually the same team, same goalkeeper, same spine. But we're not allowed to criticise on that.
And Ancelotti won 5 trophies last season, by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah? Which since we've moved to the Emirates, we've won 4.
Yeah. Let's just get it straight back, Mikel. The fact is, the reason why I'm hard on him is because you can't get yourselves in these positions and then fluff your lines. And the reason why he deserves a bit of a horse whipping, because he's been in these positions before. You saw firsthand how it's happened. And I'm not going to talk about 2018. I'm going to talk about 2018, 2019, when Man City got 98 points and Liverpool got 97, where they went toe-to-toe. And for a large portion of that season, Liverpool were leading the championship. And then Man City came and pulled their pants down. So he knows the pressure that's required. He knows that leaders, you need leaders in the field to actually not only praise when it's going well, but actually say, you know what, in this game, we won it, but these are the bad habits that can cost us. He knows that. He knows that. He knows when he had people like, Vincent Kompany and Fernandinho, they wouldn't have had that. So he knows these are sort of things should be done. He should be doing it himself. His job's done on the training ground and team selection. He should have managers on the field. He should be selecting them. He should be going up to them and saying, hang on here, what's going on there? He should be critical or have players who are critical of it. So even though you say he's learning the job, that's fair enough. But come on, he's been part of a team that's won 2 titles, one at a canter and one that was net Liverpool. People don't really seem to underestimate. When Man City did the treble, obviously not the traditional treble, but they won the League Cup, the FA Cup and League, which people call as double. Liverpool fought them tooth and nail for that league title. They got 98 points to Liverpool's 97. And there were games where they had to respond, where they had leaders. He knows what it requires. He knows what's required. And he fell on his arse. We bottled it. Everyone is part to blame for this. Him, his coaching staff, and the players, because they're 8 points ahead. He knows what to do. So if people say Arsenal bottled it, own it. Don't cry about it. Be baby and start talking about going on some babyish or podcast that's akin to CBeebies and saying, "Oh, Arsenal got cheated because referee didn't pull up a red card against Man City," or some geezer who should know better, who goes Arsenal over the way, but have got a lot of money, says corruption cost us. So stop. I mean, how old are you? 10? You're in your 50s. You're coming at this rubbish on Twitter. Own it. Mad, we bottled the league. Mikel Arteta
they don't want to say that, Kenny, because they've labelled Tottenham as the bottlers. Yeah, that's what
Who
they've
cares
done.
about
They've
Tottenham?
labelled
Who
Tottenham as
cares about who cares about Tottenham?
well, this lot care about them, Kenny, because they watch every single one of their football matches. They laugh at every single one of their drop points. They laugh at all their players. They say they're shit. Yeah. But then when we bottle it, oh no, we're in phase 3. It's a process.
Yeah, but to be honest, I don't think any Arsenal fans should have it. If they feel the way that a majority of Arsenal fans feel, I don't think you even have the strength to even laugh at Spurs, because you know what? We're going something bigger than them. You know, they've got a chairman there who's only about the top 4. And the reason why we know they're only about 4, because we've seen the same thing at Arsenal. We know that he couldn't give a rat's ass whether Spurs win a trophy or not, as long as they're in the top 4. And we've been there, so we know that. We're aiming something big. We dropped the league. Yeah, we're going to be in the Champions League. Yeah, we're going to be in the group stages. Yeah, we're going to charge our fans, another £300, £200 a year to go and watch Champions League football. Oh yeah, by the way, we're going to ask our fans not to use our digital phones to get into the ground, even though some of our fans are still pensioners, and we're going to tell people over 50 to get lost. We're going to try and get the new fans. We could do all of that, but we bottled the league when we're 8 points ahead. We need to own that. We need to stop being in denial, stop going on podcasts, talking rubbish and saying they're really pleased with development. And, if, like I said, you would have been happy with that in the end. Yeah, of course I'll be happy at the end. I might, of course some people will be happy at the end. It's just like someone who's bought a lottery ticket because when he had, £5,000 in the bank, won £1 million, and then goes and loses that £1 million. Oh, you're going to go up to him and say, "Oh, don't worry, doesn't matter." You did.
Yeah, you never had it anyway.
You didn't really miss it.
Really
you're having a laugh. If you had £1 million and you could better your life and go and give up work, you're going to be happy if you lose all the money. Of course you're not. That's how I feel about the title.
Facts.
If you're 8 points ahead, when you've got to win it.
Facts, and it don't help. Like I said about these puppet journalists. Look at this comment. I didn't even watch the press conference. I ain't even done a video on it. Yeah, for the Chelsea game. Would finishing second be an achievement? Well, no, because you've come second. But unfortunately, this is the world we live in right now. This ain't just a football thing. This is a wider issue than that. Yeah, but this is seeping into football and to elite sport. Yeah, we smashed the stadium down to be like Real Madrid. They are now in another Champions League semi-final. They're in a Copa del Rey final, which they will win because they're playing Osasuna. Yeah, but again, that shows how good the league is over, or the teams over here take the cup seriously. Because Osasuna made the final. Last year, Betis won it against Valencia. The 2 seasons before that, Bilbao got to the finals. The season before that, Alaves got to the final. But over here, it's a shit cup, mate. Yeah, it's the shit. Nobody wants the shit cups. Yeah, these teams in other countries take it seriously. Why do you think Roma are in the Europa League semi? Yeah, why do you think Leverkusen are in the Europa League semi? Why is Sporting Lisbon? Are they in it? I think they're in it. Are they in it again? Or is it Juventus? I don't know. But either way, these teams take that competition seriously. Our teams in England go, it's the fucking Emmerdale Cup. Oh, fuck that shit. I don't want to be in that. We got bigger. It's a blessing in disguise, mate. Yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah, well, since when have Arsenal been in a position to pick and choose what we want to enter and what we want to play? Yeah, and what we want to win. Yeah, go for everything. And if you don't win 3, you might win 1. Yeah, don't throw away 3 to try and win 1 and then try not telling me it's not a bottle job. Like, nah. That shit don't work, mate. Big up Luke as well for the donation. I am replying to everyone in the comments if you are donating. We are going to have to wrap this up in a minute because I am live with Dan Potts. But big up Cole Rossi for donating memberships as well, bro. Your manager says that he likes that they have qualified for the Champions League next year, but not everyone's happy with it. What about the title? I see that quote. He said that we're happy that we've qualified, but the fact that we haven't won anything and we haven't competed in all the cups, shows how far we've come and blah, blah, blah. Mate, you threw away the cups.
You did, wanker.
You know what I mean? We should be challenging for all the cups, he said. Well, maybe put a better team out in the second leg against Sporting Lisbon then. Like, bloke's a dick, man. I can't stand him. Yeah, and some of these players are a shambles as well. Like, people can blame Rob Holding for all these games all they like, yeah? Who gave him a new contract?
Arteta.
The buck stops with him.
Yeah, but you think players like Rob Holding, players, and I say this with respect, because, I've got respect for the fact that he wants to be part of this club. But history's shown that players, whenever you win leagues, players like Rob Holding are useful in a sort of like an emergency basis if there's loads of injuries. But ultimately, they ain't going to win you the league. For instance, you look at Man United when they had players like John O'Shea, players like Fletcher, and there was other times when they had, like you could say maybe Phil Neville over those years. But at the end of the day, the players who the fans were looking to, the manager looked to, was always someone like, someone like the big names like Cantona, Keane, Giggs, Beckham, Cole York, Ince, Robson, or Bruce, Pallister. Just the same thing at Arsenal. We're not looking to Rob Holding to win us the league. He's there to be part of the emergency and be kind of someone who could be there and do a job and be a steady Eddie and do his best, even though he's not the first choice. He's not the first choice, but he's going to give his all, which he has. But he just hasn't been good enough. The players we're looking at is Gabriel, our first choice players. Benjamin White, England international. Gabriel Jesus, Brazil international. Xhaka, Switzerland captain. Partey, Ghanaian. I don't know if he's captain of Ghana, but he's elite. He's our number one player in Saka. Those are the players we're looking to. So it's very easy to go, Rob Holding cost us the league. Rob Holding did this and that. Sorry, you don't do that with me. You need to look at the players who are meant to be the ones who got us, get us over the line. Because at the end of the day, they were happy to accept the praise. A month and a half ago when we were leading the title with Cantor, when Saka was, getting a lot of praise from me. The same with Partey, the same with Odegaard. The three never to be substituted, always must plays that tries to call them. So they have to take it and own it when things don't get wrong, because they're the players that we were looking to get us across the line, to give Man City a harder game, to get us over the line at Anfield, at home against Southampton and West Ham. They didn't. So look, before you go to Rob Holding, look at them. Rob Holding's an easy target. You look at the people, the ones who have, posters you have on the wall, the ones you sing songs about. They're the ones that you should be looking at.
Can I just say this? I know you got to wrap this up, Lee. I think one of the massive problems in this fan base is the fact there is a huge football Arsenal channel out there which purports absolute bullshit. And unfortunately, too many people follow that narrative. And they are the biggest cancer in this Arsenal fan base. I mean, I don't very often watch any of their stuff because I think they're absolute clowns. And I did watch after the Man City game some of their fan cams with certain of their pundits, if you want to call them that. They're idiots. They're paid actors. They say it because they're paid. And they say it, they give this absolute positivity.
They say it because most people are saying it, Jez. So what they do is they scroll through social media through the game to get what the popular view is. And then that's what they say in their fan cams. So then they can get the most traction, which are redirect to their channels or their Instagrams. Yes, and then it boosts their following. Yeah, so then they can hopefully get their Instagram followers to go and watch their shitty channel that nobody gives a fuck about. Yeah, that.
The thing is, though, Lee, is the fact that sort of extremity back in, I'm not going to quote it, but back in time would have been, how can I put it nicely, would have been, I'm talking about back in the 40s here, would have been, you know what I'm trying to say here.
Mm.
It's yeah. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into it because I'll get you probably in trouble. But you know what I'm talking about,
mate. If there was no CCTV, they would have been wiped out time ago. Put it that way. Exactly.
they are a major problem. They are a major problem. And until that lot disappear, we're stuck with it. I'm sorry. Neither you,
but even if it does disappear, Jez, there's a million that have spawned off of the back of it. They're like cockroaches.
Yeah.
There was a guy that I went on Terry's channel the other week. Yeah, absolutely destroyed every argument that geezer said. Is some TikTok guy. Yeah, sitting there crying on a TikTok video. Like, how old are you, mate? 5. Like, but this is what it is. It's now, oh my God, let me get the most drama, because now millions of people have watched that video of him and he's got about 20,000 followers off the back of it. That's all it is. But that is a short lifespan, mate. Which is why you do this full time consistently well.
Yeah, but Lee, you got that Wazak in America called Speed, whatever it is. You know,
mate, I don't even get me started on him. I will be cancelled.
You're that Wazak who's come all the way to watch Chris Ronaldo, hasn't got a clue about football, sees a guy who's won the European Cup 1968 and doesn't even know he is, and is a bit disrespectful towards
taking the piss out of him. Yeah.
I mean, got some Wazak. I don't know, 7-year-old Wazak. So that's what you get with people. You know, as I said, social media is free, which means it's a season for Wazaks and pork chops.
And on that bombshell, what you got coming up, Jez?
7 o'clock tonight. Can't do the podcast, Nork and Kenny, on Wednesday night. So we're doing it tonight at 7 o'clock. And I'm just going to shout it out, people. Please come and watch, because I'm on my way to 4K. And I'd like to get to 4K. The subs are going up every day by 2 to 3. Quite amazing, really. Maybe Lee and Kenny, as you predicted, the tide is turning. I don't know, but 7 o'clock tonight, and then I'll be back on Thursday night to do a match review of the Chelsea game. I probably won't get to watch it live, but I'll watch it on playback, because big family thing tomorrow night. So I will try and sneak away and watch it, but I've got to be careful, because it's a very important game. I might try
Make sure you sub to JEZ'S channel, people. The link's in the description. Arsenal history and more. Let's get him to 4K by the end of this week. Kenny, what you got coming up, man?
Well, I'm going to be in JEZ'S channel, but I've got one thing to say. There's a few pork chops out there who thinks that we're getting great excitement, enjoyment of saying this. We're shattered. We're not enjoying this. We wanted this show to be we wanted to be in a situation where we're still 2 points ahead of Man City, got the Chelsea game, and that all we needed was probably to wrap the title up in 3 weeks' time at Nottingham Forest. That's what I wanted, and that's what we all wanted. So don't come here with your Wazak pork chop ways to say that we're enjoying it. That's what we wanted. We don't want to be doing this. You know, we were praising the team because we thought this was the end of all the silliness. We got hoodwinked like everyone else. So we're not happy doing this.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, totally agree. Make sure you follow Kenny Ken 1972 on Instagram, people. I'm going live with Dan Potts. It won't let me redirect us straight over there off of the redirect link. He ain't opened up his redirect. So the link is getting spammed in the chat as we speak. That's Dan's channel. It's just me, Dan, and Henry tonight. So no doubt me and Dan will be bullying Henry. And then straight after that, I'm going live with Henry on his channel as well. So make sure you sub to Lee Reacts as well. Let me get the link for Lee Reacts. I ain't pushed that enough here recently. I dropped a video on there about this basketball player that's chatted absolute shit. Don Carlo has come out and agreed with him. What the hell is going on here? Although Don Carlo can say what he wants. He's a fucking legend. And his CV backs that. Although it has triggered me a little bit. But I will get you the link for that video as well. So make sure you sub to go and follow Dan's channel right now. And I'll be there in literally 2 minutes. And make sure you sub to this one that's coming in right now. I'm so close to 10K on that channel. So make sure you get me up to that now. We're out of here. And I'll Arteta out. Laters.
Arteta out, you prick.